Instagram. How is everybody doing today? Today we're having a live session with and breath master and coach Ed Harrold. Um, a little bit of we'll get a little bit of a background on Eddie. Let's see, he's getting on. Um, I'm gonna get Eddie on here. Beauty, where you at, Eddie? Here we go. Morning, Ant Man. There he is. Let's go. Invite to join. All right. Invite. Beauty. All right. I'm inviting Ed right now to join. And we should be live in a second. Beauty. Let's go, baby. There he is.
Hey,
Can you see me?
I'm trying to turn my camera around.
Oh, that's all right. I like the look
you.
of this right here. Beauty. There we go. You get it turned around?
I'm computer impaired.
Computer impaired. That's all right. No worries. All right. You got the camera facing that way, and then it's just a matter of
Yeah, there you are.
yeah, you see it. You should be able to write there it is. There's that. Oh my God. Great looking man right there.
Hello, world.
How we doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We just finished up a nice little workout. Took a little bay dip. I'm cooling off right now. I'm trying to get that shiver going, eliminate that brown fat as, we've learned from the cold exposure. But no, things are well, man. How we doing?
So you're on the beach in New Jersey, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. South Jersey, baby. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So for those who are joining in right now, you guys can, this talk is just basically going to be a little bit of an intro of what Ed and I have been working on and what we're going to be launching at the end of the month. We're going to just give a little bit of details of what we got going, but for the most part, the biggest emphasis is our breathing, and the program that we're putting together is going to be revolved around the breath. Okay, now. Ed and I, we've known each other for years. Ed is the one who is the breath master. Okay, especially, he basically, I'll give you the microphone in a second, Ed. But Ed is the Ed is the reason as to why he played a huge role into really opening up my eyes to how to train, and more specifically how to maximize your training with the breathing. Okay. Now, for the most part, and like we'll go into this a little bit more, but I can give a lot of bit of credit. I know Ed will not take any credit whatsoever, but I can give a lot of credit to my a little bit of a success in baseball. To Ed, basically, just in terms of how to maximize my training over like the years of playing, and it definitely played a huge role into what we're doing here today over at Docs. Okay, but yeah. But today's talk, we're just going to be going spitballing, different things with breathing, and if anybody who's popping on here, you guys can let us know where you guys are coming in from, and also let us know if you have any questions that have to do with breathing, okay? Like any kind of pain points that you might have within your training, and more specifically, how to maximize your training and whatnot. So I'm stoked to get on here though with you, Eddie.
AJ, I've been following your career my whole life. So proud of you. You've overcome so many obstacles. You performed at such a high level. You've come through in the clutch so many times. Our families go back about 100 years on a little island in southern New Jersey, and there's a lot of energy on that island. Everybody's active, everybody's outside. Everybody doesn't really get along, but somehow we all seem to work it out. It's New Jersey. But this program, I think in the background of our mind, our subconscious, we've been planning something like this for about 20 years.
Yeah,
and we thought about what would be the best way to maximize people getting healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually with the time that they do have in the shortest period of time and having the highest quality of experience with themselves internally when they're working out. You know, bicycling and exercise on the bike has been around for a long, long time. The kettlebells have come around in about the last 25 years in America in the West, but it's much older than that. And has really changed functional training and therapeutic training for peak performance and recovery in the world. And I couldn't be happier about being with AJ as someone who's mastered this amazing kettlebell therapy that's available to us in the West.
Yeah, no, I think that's I mean that's a great way to put it because so just to give everybody a heads up, the name of our program and what it's going to be bells, bikes, and breath. How to maximize your training and to increase your VO2 max. Okay, this is one thing that kind of gets lost in the sauce a little bit in terms of your training is your breath. So our whole goal is to introduce and implement tactical ways of how to utilize the breath for your benefits. Okay. And as Ed had said, in terms of bikes have been around for so many years. So, and what better way than to introduce, bikes into your training. And especially, I feel like, like the zone 2 aspect of training, right? So it's like when you are able to incorporate some kind of zone training within your everyday programs, I find that to be incredibly beneficial. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on just zone 2 training and just utilizing the bike and your breath, like as a whole? How would you, speak to that a little bit?
Well, it's an evolving science. When I first started teaching breath in the mid '90s, people just pushed me away, and they already knew how to do it, and I don't need to know anything about the breathing because I know how to do it on my own. And in my lifetime, in the last 25 years, this breath has become the major driver of change in the athletic training, fitness, and racing world. When you think about, let's just look at what we know. We know the cheetah is the fastest animal on earth. It can run 80 miles an hour, and it does it all through its nose. So there's got to be something to this nose breathing. If we can just use our ego and use our mind in a productive way, to start to open up our airway, to open up our trachea, use the full 5 chambers of the lungs, maximize the training of the thoracic diaphragm, which is the primary muscle of inhale, and then have the power in your mind and your body to stay with that exhale through your nose. Because what we're finding out is that CO2 is the miracle molecule for training in sports. You exhale as much oxygen as you inhale. Why would you let that exhale come out quickly through your mouth? I mean, it might feel comfortable to your ego, but what you're actually doing is you're not really being efficient. You're impairing patterns of movement in your body. You're throwing off the next inhale, and there isn't as much sustainability to your workout. So I think, AJ was saying a couple of weeks ago when we were talking, let's just focus on putting the breath in front of what we're doing. So mentally focusing on the different breathing techniques that we're going to teach around kettlebell training and around riding your bicycle. And notice if you don't feel better, more vibrant, more relaxed when your workout is complete.
Yeah, that's one. You mentioned one thing, and I know we've talked about it in length, but one thing that people, it just goes completely out of their mind, is when on the exhale. Everybody focuses on, and we were taught this at an early age too, of just long deep inhales, exhale in the nose, out the mouth, in the nose, out the mouth. What in reality is that people forget or people don't know is that when you are exhaling, so you're breathing in oxygen, you're breathing out CO2, but there are certain devices, there are certain parts of our nose that work as a filter that when we exhale out of our nose, we are extracting that double oxygen from the CO2 and we're keeping that oxygen within the tank. So you're legitimately doubling up your oxygen intake, which allows you to go harder longer for longer periods of time. I always find that to be incredibly fascinating. And again, it's one of those things that kind of just, you kind of, when we were all introduced the in the nose, out the mouth method, that's it. It's like, all right, we don't know where that came from or what the whole, science behind that exactly is, but it just seemed to be a little bit more, you go to the path of least resistance. Whereas if you allow yourself to practice your breathing and, lean into that little bit of discomfort, which it might be discomfort, or, a little bit uncomfortable at the beginning, but if you lean into that, then over time, you're going to start to really have that light bulb go off and realize it's like, wait a second, what have I been missing on for so many years in all my training and so on and so forth. But yeah, so it's a pretty incredible joystick to be able to pull and lever that we can really utilize. So
Yeah. So, one thing we want to talk about is, when you begin to breathe through your nose, you're going to notice that you have sinus issues, you have a lot of allergies and mucus and phlegm that you'll find in your throat. Yeah. All of this stuff is building up into your lungs, and then it drips down into your organs and creates mucus, phlegm, and fat, which actually creates stress in your organs and makes it more difficult for us to oxygenate our cells and balance our pH level, have a high level of alkalinity, have thin blood that's really easy for the heart to pump. So opening up the airway is something that takes some practice. And when you think about breathing, I want you to think about a muscular action. So on your inhale, you'll be engaging your thoracic diaphragm, which is going to vertically press down towards your lumbar spine and straighten your spine. Having a straight spine as you move through your exercise routine, and how you move through life. A straight spine is the first biohack. Mm-hmm. As soon as you straighten your spine, you open your chest, you open your lungs, you're bringing in more energy, you feel good about yourself, and you're in present time in your head. And then when your inhale is complete, you'll notice there's a gap between the end of the inhale and the process of exhale. So if you hold the breath in for just a couple seconds, you'll notice you can stop the thoughts, you can clear your mind of any negativity or anxiety, you can focus on the task at hand, and your spine will be completely erect, and your brain will make a mental note of that. Now, to get out waste in the body is anything that's impairing oxygen distribution, circulation, inflammation reduction. This is where the exhale comes in really handy. Dr. Ruben Merriman out of Australia has some amazing science that says that 80% of our waste are burned through the lungs when we exhale through the nose. Yeah. The remaining waste is burned through sweat, movement, urination, and evacuation of our bowels. So as soon as you begin to exhale longer than your inhale, what happens is your amygdala, that fear center, that fight or flight part of your brain, begins to tone down, and you're not as reactionary in the mind, and you just respond to the moment based on your level of energy. And in that response of calm, with the exhale longer than your inhale, with more CO2 coming out through your nose, your body burns fat as its fuel source. It doesn't store fat. Yeah. Remember that allergies are stored in fat cells. They're not stored in glycogen cells. So as soon as we begin to stay on that exhale from a mind-body connection, many, many health markers go way up.
Yeah, so I just had a few questions in here. Some people talking about allergies. How would you go about with somebody who, it's that time of year right now with people with allergies, with the changing of the seasons. Now we're going to be getting into warmer weather and whatnot. Like, what are some, are there any specific practices that people should be really focusing on in their everyday practice of whether it be training or breathing in terms of how to breathe, or any certain techniques that you would say that could allow somebody to, speed up the recovery of certain allergies and whatnot?
Yeah, so, the body responds in real time to what has happened previously. The body's always responding to a previous environment. So if I get up in the morning and I have allergies and I have mucus and it's difficult to breathe, I want to look at what happened last night. So number one is don't take any carbs in after sundown.
Yeah,
because that's just going to sit in your body and turn into mucus in the morning. And you're going to have to spend a lot of energy to get your sinuses clear and get your nostrils clear. So number one, don't eat carbs after sundown. Number two, work with lengthening your exhale. Yeah. Now, how do you lengthen your exhale without straining? Well, if you inhale, fill your lungs, inflate your lungs fully, and hold the breath in several seconds. Now that pressure that's building up in your lungs is going to have to go somewhere. So then when you hold the breath in several seconds, you're going to have more leverage, more force, more mass, more volume, which is going to create a longer exhale in time. In other words, it's going to be more seconds to your exhale. And as you lengthen your exhale, the body is going to burn the mucus, phlegm, and fat, which we call allergies, as a fuel, and it's a fat burning mode. So inhale, hold, and then exhale longer than your inhale. And you don't have to use mental willpower to do that. The intelligence of the physiology is going to give you a longer exhale. So you just might want to do this right now. Just sit up tall.
Yeah.
Inhale through your nose for a count of 5. Hold your breath in for a count of 5. And now exhale for a count of 10. And notice how much you can lengthen your exhale with just internal breath retention. So if you were doing this on a bike, you would inhale for 5 pedals, hold the breath in for 5 pedals, and then exhale for 10 pedals, and you're going to become superhuman pretty quick.
That's what we're trying to. That's the goal here right now, is just to create everybody who joins and gets their hands onto this program is to essentially become superhuman. And the quickest way through that, what we both found, is through our breathing. And I would say that there is something to be said about little breath retentions as well. And because of the fact that we lose our mind kind of gets lost in the exhale and all the benefits from the exhale, which you just completely said. And I find that in terms of kettlebells, like how you can utilize the breath it's similar in the sense of like I almost like to see of it as like they go hand in hand, because it's like a cadence between the two. Because with kettlebells, the ballistic movement in itself, it is a very cadence-based movement where it's, whether it be the swing, whether it be the clean, there's a lot of functionality to it where you have to utilize the breath. And when you match the breath with the movement, then it secures the movement in itself. And that's one thing that I really am stoked about for this program as well, just because, you touched upon earlier about how, like, back in the 90s, people were talking about like how, like, oh, like they hop on a bike, and if you were to say like, hey, well, how do you breathe on the bike? They just look at you and say, well, what do you mean? Like, I know how to breathe. I know how to, I'm looking and talking to you right now. I'm breathing right now. Like, what's the difference? I could just get on a bike and I could just breathe and I could just go. When in reality, it's like, no, there's a lot more to it. So with that said right there, like in terms of kettlebells, now there's a certain breath cadence that is taught with a lot of certifications. And it's double, like one movement, for instance, would be the kettlebell swing. It's a double inhale on the way down, and then you exhale with the hips out of the mouth, a very martial artist aspect of, okay, it's out the mouth. But speaking to the exhale, it's like, wait, why wouldn't I, if I know all the benefits that I can receive from exhaling out of my nose, then why wouldn't I just continuously do that over the course of a movement while I'm training? So, and I think, well, that is going to be essentially like the whole heart and soul of my side of the program of kettle breath resilience training that is going to be incorporated, because I'll be teaching the side of how to combine nasal breathing and all the benefits that you can get from nasal breathing to kettlebells. And, and you're going to be taking the whole side of with the bike side of things. So, but either way, I mean, I'm super stoked about this. This is going to be really exciting. It's like you said, it's I feel like it's been like a long time coming for us to kind of really get together and put something together like this. And this is really just the beginning.
Yeah. I want people to understand that as soon as you change your breathing consciously, the higher learning centers of your brain, the executive functioning centers of your brain, light up on the BMFRI machines so that you are present, you're in present time. And there's a presence there that I want you to connect in your exercise routine so that we can maximize our self-care routine, so we're constantly getting the most out of the least. We're not spinning our wheels in life. We're not doubling back. We're not repeating the mistakes of the past. There's a level of presence. So as soon as you take control of your inhale, the top of the brain, specifically in adults, the hippocampus, lights up. So that means there's an opportunity there for neuroplasticity. There's an opportunity there to insert healthy sense of self. Like, I like myself. And we exercise because we like to feel good.
Yeah.
So how do we maximize the time we do have? Well, you never want to impair your spine to hit a number that the ego wants you to do. You never want to reinforce poor patterns of movement. So when you start to feel the inhale, which is really the down breath, going into the body, supporting the spine, supporting the mind, and then you notice the power of your exhale. Most folks that I work with initially have very weak exhale muscles. And this is causing a lot of mental stress, a lot of physical stress, improper moods, and kind of a separation from the part of ourselves that sometimes is called spirit, or the part of ourself that's greater than we are individually.
Yeah.
So as soon as we start to lengthen our exhale, many, many things happen that we can't see when we have weak exhale muscles, where we're missing the mark and we're working harder than we need to achieve our goals. So the secret weapon initially is slow down that inhale and light up the top of your brain and get interested in what you're doing and not be distracted by the mind.
Yeah.
That gap between the end of the inhale and initiation of the exhale, play with that. I mean, you can let that grow by consciously playing with different breath retentions and then laying on the exhale. So everybody today, even when you're not working out, if you're at a red light, you're at a line, whatever you're doing, stay on your exhale and begin to notice if you don't feel better in 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah. I'd say that's definitely one of the things, like, I mean, that's a
Good job.
the whole goal when you are matching your breath with exercise, whether it be kettlebells, whether it be with bikes. It's giving an external focus where you're able to match your breath with that movement. And it tends to be, you know, you're putting yourself into a higher element of stress with the movement, whether it be kettlebell swings, whether it be on a stationary bike. Okay. Now, yes, that in itself is a tool. The kettlebell for myself is a tool to allow me to focus up on the breath. And when I'm able to combine the two and notice, like in real time, that my heart rate starts to drop over the course of an intense workout, that right there for me is just practice for everyday life, because it's easy to essentially just walk out the door and just get back to everyday life and just go back to like breathing however you were breathing. But it's a little bit more challenging when you are matching the breath with your workouts. Okay. But when you start to do that, then when I started to do that, that's when I really started to realize it's like, wait a second, like this stuff is working, because it's like, okay, not only am I feeling better at the end of my workouts, but I'm walking out the door and I'm feeling more alive. I'm feeling a little bit more, I mean, in terms of stress, like when you are able to control your breathing during a 5-minute 100 kettlebell snatch test, when you're able to control breathing during a snatch test, which anybody out there who knows kettlebells and is familiar with the kettlebell certifications, when you're able to control your nasal breathing and feel better at the end of the snatch test than you did at the beginning, that's when you know that you're onto something. That's when you know that this nasal breathing isn't just, you know, hippity hoopla or, you know, rainbows and butterflies. Like this stuff, it works, and when you are matching it up with an intense workout like the snatch test, or being on a what's it called, a stationary bike, or going through a Vo2 Max test, you know, you realize that these are just tools to focus and really open up have the light bulb go off for yourself that the breath works. But all that said, that in itself, these are just practices for everyday life, because at the end of the day, how much time are we spending working out? It's not that much time. The most stressors that we have in our life are outside of the gym. You know, the gym in itself is a safe space to essentially like get rid of the stress. So the whole goal here is to be able to practice the breath within kettlebells, within your bike, just so you can learn how to control your breath outside of these workout spaces, because that's where 99% of our life is spent anyway. So when Ed talks about, you talking about like how you're driving up to a traffic light, that's something that, we've talked about a little bit before, but I will find myself now just at a red light, just working some nasal breathing, just stopping at a red light or at a stop. If I go to a stop sign, I use the stop sign as a little bit of a trigger to, okay, let me just take a deep inhale and take a deep exhale. Okay, let me just go up to the red light, and you know what? Let me use this red light as an opportunity for myself to just lock in with my breath. And again, like, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but I promise, like, I don't know, like it's one of those things that when you when you look back of all the decisions that you've made, whether it be like emotional decisions or whether it be, somebody cuts you off, or you say some things that you don't mean, or you get mad at a spouse or a kid or a parent. It's like those are all times of high stress, and there's no thought. Now, if you were to give yourself a little bit of split second of deep inhale and deep exhale, then I mean, never in the history of life, I don't think anybody, in terms of making a very irrational decision, was it made after somebody just taking a deep inhale and deep exhale. And it's something that we all have at our fingertips as well, right? So it's like one of those things where it's like, yes, but I already know how to breathe, but no, you don't.
Right. Well, I don't know where you live, but the traffic light has turned into the new gym. I'll look over to another driver and they're like hyperventilating at the red light. I'm like, dude, what's going on over there?
Yeah. Oh,
so linking breath with movement is so important in regard to everything you're doing, whether it's in the gym or whether you're at the workspace. It's inhale. What do I want to do with this moment? How do I want to execute this based on the awareness that I have? And exhale, go out and execute it. So it's intention, manifestation. Link your breath with movement. Don't violate yourself. Learn how to work with different paces of inhales and exhales through the nose. Yeah. If you want to do a scientific experiment, the next time you're on the way to work out, notice how many breaths you're taking a minute in the car. Go through your workout routine, then get back in the car and notice if you're taking half the breaths you were taking before you went in. You can do a little research and gather data about breath control right there. Yeah. So when you're done your workout routine, you'll notice you'll be taking many, many less breaths, which means that you're more energy efficient. You're taking care of your heart. You're burning fat instead of sugar. Inflammation is dropping. Circulation is improving. All of these things are about longevity. Yeah. And I think everybody on this call this morning wants to live a long, vibrant life. Longevity is the key. So even though we're chronologically aging, we can use breath control and the thousands of different breathing exercises that are available to us to stall biological aging.
Yeah. No, I think that's the name of the game, right? Is longevity, and it's not necessarily just how long you live, but it's how well you live as well. And I think that's something that that's going to be this is just going to be level one, like of our program. So again, this is one. Go ahead.
I just want folks to know that if you start to take on what we're teaching in a 12-month period, you're going to receive more gains, but biologically, you're only going to age 6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
And I think everybody here has to live for.
Yeah.
So we can manipulate our DNA. We can manipulate our genes if we can get control a little deeper of the mechanisms of the DNA and RNA that animate our cells, that our mind, our thoughts, our feelings, and staying focused on what we want to occur, staying in our lane. So there's a level of awareness that comes to us physically and mentally, emotionally, spiritually, when you discipline yourself to learn the skills of breath control with your cardio workout or with your kettlebell workout or weights. It's all connected.
100%. Dude, I'm stoked for this. I mean, it's already, we're only a couple weeks out until we, there's only a couple weeks out until we release Bell's Bikes and Breath Program, Level 1. Again, this is it's going to be for essentially anybody who has a kettlebell, whether you're somebody essentially who practices with kettlebells, or if you're somebody who just does the stationary bike or just enjoys bike rides, or if you're somebody that does both. Okay, this program in itself, it's one step in the direction to opening up your eyes to what the capabilities are that you have in terms of your training. Okay, and this is something that that I'm really excited about, and I know anybody who's been to Belfast. So recently, this past year, well, this will be the second time that we did it. So the first time was Belfast. Is essentially you have 30 coaches all throughout the U.S., Canada, that come together, and it is an extraordinary event that was put together by a girl by the name of Maddie Conti over in Atlanta, and you met her boyfriend Malcolm recently. Malcolm, yeah, absolute legend, Malcolm. Also a breath master. Yeah. So, but at Belfast, my class, the first year, and then I teamed up with another kettlebell coach by the name of Eric Spector, who the whole premise of our coaching was to focus on breathing during a kettlebell workout. Okay. And how to specifically breathe was breathing through the nose. And how did I get people to breathe through their nose? And I'll just show you real quick. I have some over here. Was mouth tape. Was utilizing the mouth tape during your breathing. Now, this is going to be something that we're going to incorporate into level 2 and start to introduce in level 2 and maybe even level 3 of our program. But the mouth tape in itself is just, again, another external focus that allows us to close our mouth during our training. And I don't know about you, Ed, but I've drifted into the world of mouth taping while I sleep at night because I've realized we had a bar crawl 2 summers ago, and one of our buddies has an office right next to the bar, the finishing bar, and I went in there and I put my head, I was just taking a little bit of a break from the whole madness, and I ended up taking a little bit of a snooze and in his office chair, and my mouth was wide open. Our one friend took a photo of me, and I never realized how open my mouth was, or while I slept at night. So that was like, wow, I didn't realize that. And then from there, and now we're all going up on 2 years of taping my mouth while I sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, but
this is really exciting. And what I'm going to teach on the bicycle, which can also be done running or in any cardio routine, is basically high altitude training or higher altitude training than where you are on Earth. So, if you're 1,000 feet above sea level, we're going to hack the internal body, biohack it, so that we trick the body into thinking you're at 3,000 feet. So it's all about thinning the blood, becoming really efficient with less air, maximizing the CO2. And without getting too scientific, heart rate variability score, it's how much parasympathetic activity or relaxation hormones you have in your bloodstream at any given time. Anybody can raise their heart rate sky high. Super easy to do. Just use willpower, and go out and bust it. But the real masters can get their heart rate down in 10 or 15 seconds back to a point where their lower body mechanics are tight again and great patterns of movement in the mind. So, you can get your heart rate up really high through your mouth. Notice it'll take you a long time to reconnect with your lower body mechanics. When you learn to do this through your nose, your heart rate variability score will go sky high. Even though you're in a sympathetic action inside your body, a lot of adrenaline and cortisol, you're pushing back on those levers with a lot of parasympathetic activity. So your heart rate will come back down quickly, and you can bust a move really quickly against someone who is probably right next to you with mouth breathing, but you're breathing through your nose. Yeah. So for those of you who race, if you pull up next to someone and you're breathing through your nose and they're breathing through their mouth, you've got them. You're going to pass them, no problem.
Dude, I'm excited for this, man. This is a great, and that's the one thing too, is like, especially for people who are training for triathlons, Ironmen, half Ironmen, marathons. I think that's the one thing too. It's like the breath cadence on the bike, like you just said, can be perfectly correlated to the same breath cadence as you're running as well, which is really it's again not only maximizing the workouts, but also being able to take the what we're going to be introducing and just bringing it to different modalities of training, which is really fun.
Yeah. So for triathletes, runners, and bikers, cyclists, your whole gig is endurance. And what's your endurance fuel? Fat. How do you make sure you're burning fat instead of your precious glycogen reserves, which are great for the brain? Here's how you demystify the whole thing. Counting your steps or counting your pedals, as long as you're exhaling longer than your inhale in length, your body is burning fat as its fuel source. You're not storing fat. And you're going to get stronger as the event unfolds, not weaker. So just being mindful of, if you're inhaling for 5 strides, make sure you're exhaling for at least 6. If you're inhaling for 5 pedals, make sure you're exhaling for at least 6 pedals. This keeps you in that fat burning zone where you become superhuman, and you keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger as the race unfolds because you're burning fat. Yeah. And fat is calorically so much more powerful than burning sugar.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautifully said. Nice, dude. All right. Well, I'll let you rock and roll. I know you ahead of you. Are you going to be hitting the mountains at all, or what do you got?
Hopefully I'll get up. I live near Snowbird, and you around lunchtime. We got a big storm coming in the next 2 days. I think we're going to get like 30 or 40 inches. A big May gift from God.
That's incredible. That's awesome. That's unbelievable, dude. I'm stoked. Oh, man. Yeah, I only end up having one ski trip this past winter, but like I said, I got to get out there to visit you and Wendy soon. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to get your brother Mike out here.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be out there. He's down living the Miami life right now. So.
He's a good man.
Yeah, dude, I'm stoked. But all right, I'll let you rock. This is only going to be we're going to jump in and do another live session, and we're going to keep this going until we release the program. And like I said, bells, bikes, and breath. How to maximize your training using kettlebells, your bike, and your nasal breathing, and increase your Vo2 Max. All right, so Ed, always a pleasure, my friend. I will talk to you soon. And yeah, man. Anybody else? Hope everybody has an incredible day, and we'll get things rolling.
Thanks, AJ.
All right, brother.
Thanks, everyone.
Love you, brother.
See you soon.
See you, man.
Go be great.
Yeah, see you, Ray.